Hi, we're Mel and Missy, respectfully a clinical mental health therapist and Fear Fighter life coach. But it goes beyond that. We are representatives of you.
Trashed It is a brand that helps women focus on their next level of freedom by getting rid of the emotional garbage in their lives, whether it's toxic relationships, thought patterns, stigmas, etc.
We represent mothers and single mothers, daughters, wives, and divorcees, business professionals, entrepreneurs, and even Christians and ministers of the gospel.
We're trashing it all.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Trashed It. I'm your girl Mel.
I'm Missy.
So we are so glad to have you guys joining us on today. Missy, what's been up?
Nothing much. A new month, a new day, and almost a new year. Time is going by so fast.
It really is, man. It is about to be Christmas.
And if you have not ordered your gifts yet, I would highly advise you to do it by the weekend.
All
these reports come out on Yahoo News about shipments and supplies and cargo. So yeah.
I know. I was in the store a few days ago, and all I could see was Christmas stuff. And I thought, you know what? This really it gives a pressure.
Yes, it does.
Christmas. And I was like, you know what? Y'all trying to punk me. I'm not. Like, we haven't even gotten to Halloween. We haven't gotten to Thanksgiving. And I felt this pressure of, oh my God, I need to start Christmas shopping. Doing all this now. And I thought, wait, hold on. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
This is marketing. This is advertising. They're just trying to trick you. Right. And I thought, man, if I was a really good mama, I would be in here buying gifts right now.
Doing everything you need and hiding them.
Yeah, but that's not my stilo. So
understand.
I kept it moving.
Understand. I'm just glad I'm not in that stage anymore. I just have one little one to get.
Oh, lucky you.
Yes.
Lucky you.
Gift cards all the way.
That's always the last resort. That's always.
But I buy them early because it's the love, it's the thought goes into it. Like, which one do I get this year? Yes, I love it.
I hear you. And come on with the cute popping lip gloss.
Girl, thank you. Yes, she ready. My favorite beautiful lip gloss from Mented Cosmetics.
Okay, tell me about Mented Cosmetics.
Mented Cosmetics is a cosmetic company owned by women of color. And when I tell you, the colors match up so well, but the lip gloss, it goes on so smooth. Really? I love it. Yes.
Okay. So we'll have to add them into, can we give a link for them?
We can.
Okay,
we
cool.
Can. Yes.
So we'll give a link. We'll give a link for them at the end and on in the description for the podcast.
Yes.
So on Apple and other streaming mediums, and also on YouTube, we'll put a link for. You said Mented Cosmetics?
Mented. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Nice and silky.
Yeah, cute. So moving on to our next segment. So we have a segment that we like to call, I don't really have an opinion, but I'm just saying.
I don't really have an opinion, but I'm just saying.
So I have a few things.
Okay.
Right? So first of all, for all of us out here, for all these people who have been using Cash App instead of being paid above the table, the government is coming for you. FYI, the government is coming hard and heavy. I believe it's if you have
$600.
Yes. And I thought,
0.
Says so. Everyone who just uses Cash App to transfer money or to pay for little things, or even, I know business owners who only use Cash App, right? Ma'am, sir,
Yeah.
you gonna have to pay on that money this
Mhm.
coming year.
Yes.
So that's the first thing.
Mhm.
Second thing, so have you watched Dave Chappelle's last Netflix
I have
uh
not. It
special?
is in my queue, but I
Okay.
keep reading and reading.
Yes. So Dave Chappelle just did his latest Netflix stand-up comedy routine.
Mhm.
And it was named The Closer. And so of course my husband is a huge Dave Chappelle fan. So the day it came out, of course, he wanted to watch it the same night. And so we were watching it, and he mentioned how, this is going to be his last special for a while, right? And I don't know if you really follow Dave Chappelle, but he's not a simplistic comedian,
He's
right?
not. I love his, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I haven't always been a fan of his,
Mhm.
but when I really started listening to his comedy and how thought-provoking it is,
Oh, very. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's very thought-provoking,
Mhm.
and it causes you to really think, right? So nevertheless, and I don't want to ruin the actual show for
Uh-huh.
those people who haven't watched it. He's now catching a lot of backlash from the LGBTQ
Mhm.
plus community.
Mhm.
He always has jokes, right, about that particular community, and in this particular special, he had a lot of jokes.
Mhm.
But here's the thing: when you really looked at what he was saying, I didn't hear hate, right? So he's
Mhm.
getting all of this backlash from the community, from that particular community, regarding anti-hate and how the special shouldn't have been aired. Netflix has even came out with a statement in support, no,
Oh, in support of
in
him.
support of the special,
Mhm.
because when you really look at it, yes, he definitely has jokes.
Mhm.
But when you look at the context and when you look at his overall theme, I don't know that you can say it was, you absolutely can't say it was hate,
Mhm.
right? And I was reading something where he was, I think it was Damon Wayans. Damon Wayans was being interviewed and talked about how, basically Dave Chappelle took one for the team and freed them, right? Because they've all been getting backlash for just their freedom of speech.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I thought that was
Wow.
kind of interesting. Thought
I
that
will say it's on my queue. It's in my queue to watch.
you should
But
watch
I
it.
did say I saw an article where he made a comment, and I quote, "Well, I've already received my check from Netflix." And I'm like, "Well, mic drop."
Yeah, like
Well, you
so.
know, and I will say this, Mel, one thing I love about him, of course, he was MIA for quite some time. And
Mhm.
then at the height of the pandemic, you remember they released another comedy. And so I appreciated that because we needed laughter. Like he was
Yes,
real, he was touching on the issues that the world and the nation was going through,
right,
social really unrest, discrimination,
right.
racism. But he took the negative and made a positive, and we all laughed. And I think we needed that laughter. And so now, what, maybe 18 months now,
Yeah.
here comes another one. So
Mhm.
yeah, but
Mhm.
it's in my queue to watch. So
I
thank you for
agree.
the reminder.
Yes, please watch it. Please
I
watch it.
will. I will.
Last thing I have,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I'm just saying, like, I don't have an opinion. I'm just
Understand.
saying that that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson,
Yes.
has been researching, just small research,
Mhm.
has been researching um, a run as a presidential candidate.
You know what? I think I read something about that like months ago, but now it's surfaced again. Let
Mm-hmm.
me hold on real quick with my rock eye. Have to concentrate. Don't make me laugh.
Oh my God, that's too funny. That is too funny. Oh God,
You weren't expecting that, were you?
No, you got me today. You got me today. Got me today. All right. So let's move on, shall we?
Yes, we shall. Yes, we shall.
What exactly are we trashing today?
We are trashing the word, the stigma that comes with it of self-care.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, for years now, or even for years, we have just keep hearing this word self-care, self-care, self-care.
Right.
It's
Right.
not new. It's just now something that people are finally tapping into.
Mhm.
But what I want to do, I'd like to see us do, Mel and Missy do, is trash the stigma that comes with it.
Mhm.
That self-care is not selfish.
Right. Right. I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, it's not selfish. It's okay to say no. And self-care starts with the word no. No to others, not no to yourself, but no to others. And so
Right.
just trashing that word, that stigma, I should say, that comes with it.
Do you think it's more about we don't care about self-care, or we don't want to say no to other people?
Oh, Mel, really?
I'm just
You
saying.
did that on purpose because of this.
Because
Because you can't do this. I'll teach you.
Petty.
I'll give you a tutorial.
Petty. But no, seriously.
I think it's a combination of both. I really do. I
Mhm.
know you're saying you want one answer, but I think it's a combination of both, because we are comfortable in doing for others,
Mhm.
but I believe we're not comfortable in doing for ourselves. Like, we go through the daily routine of getting ourselves ready for work, getting up, doing your basic hygiene stuff, getting yourself ready, getting your family ready. But
Mhm.
when it truly comes to taking care of you, looking out for you, it's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
because I do believe we don't know what that looks like for us.
Right. I get you. So I was looking at something, and of course this comes up a lot for me when I'm just talking to women in therapy. I'm sure it probably comes up for you when you're coaching women. And there's an absolute difference between self-care and self-maintenance.
Mm.
Right. And so you were mentioning like our basic hygiene, right?
Yeah.
Like we get up and we shower, or we brush our teeth, or we eat, right? That's considered maintenance. These are the things we're doing daily just to make sure that we are decent, right?
Right. That's
But
right.
that's not self-care.
And it's not.
Right. That's not self-care. And so I think a lot of us, we get caught up in just the maintenance part and not necessarily the self-care part. But there's so many different, I think, layers to it.
It is.
And so I go back to us being afraid, right? Like us being afraid of saying no. And what does, because if I have to care for me, right? So in order to have self-care for me, which is the intentional taking care of myself emotionally, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that goes beyond maintenance.
Exactly.
Right? That means I have to take away from something else.
That's
and
true.
most of us, when it comes down to it, if I have to say no to hanging out with colleagues, or if I have to say no to babysitting my sister's kid, or just whatever, I'm not going to do that, because I took away something from someone else.
And we want, and I'm glad you brought up the word maintenance. I mean, because a light bulb really just went off in my own head. You know, I tell people a lot of times, your self-care is different from what my self-care looks like.
Right.
And
Right.
like for some, it might be a mani and pedi. And I'm not knocking that. We're not knocking that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know for me, it's a part of maintenance, not a part of care. But
Mm-hmm.
while you were talking, and I'm thinking, does it also matter what season we are in our lives? Whether it's you're single, whether if you're like myself, now 50, or you know, if you're a busy mother, you're a full-time business owner, mom
Mm-hmm.
with kids still in school, going back to this brick and mortar, you know, so we've come out of, and I keep talking about the pandemic, but we've come now out of a pandemic, still in it in some sorts, but we're still going around the motions, right? So I'm wondering, do the seasons change with what self-care looks like?
You know, I think it does. I think it's like it's like love. It's like
Yes.
relationships. You know, there are ebbs and flows in relationships, and seasons change, right?
Oh, yes, they do.
Priority priorities shift.
Yeah.
Sometimes what we need changes. And so therefore, I think what we need in different seasons as far as self-care is no different. Right. So
Exactly.
I know I can speak as a mom, and I can speak as a wife. Right. So for me, sometimes self-care means I go check in at a hotel on my own,
And that,
just for a staycation
yes.
or whatever, right? Where that may be weird or different to someone who's single, right? Because a single person is possibly home by themselves.
Yes.
So they want to go where the party is. And maybe their self-care is, I want to hang out with my friends, or I want to do a massage with my girlfriends. And for me, maybe it's, I want peace and quiet.
Yeah. Wow.
And
That's good.
and I want to hear no one talking to me.
Yes.
Right. Wow. So that I can sit and be one with myself, and only have to think about and only have to be responsible for me.
And it's not selfish.
But do you know how long, but check this, do you know how long it took me to get to the point that I didn't think it was wrong, or that it didn't make me a bad mom?
How long did it take you?
I would say it's probably just been within the last few years.
Really?
I earlier this year was the first trip I've ever taken with a really good girlfriend of mine that was longer than a weekend trip.
Wow. An intentional trip.
An intentional trip that wasn't, you know, like a Friday to Saturday overnight thing, or it wasn't a church thing. It wasn't a work conference, you know, because that doesn't really count.
No.
Right. But the first time ever since I've been married, taking an intentional trip that was more than a day or so.
Wow.
Was just this year.
Wow.
Because
and planned out. Planned out on purpose.
Planned out on purpose. With no guilt.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
With no
guilt. And there's a backstory behind that trip.
We're not about to talk about the fact that we fell into the river off the jet skis. Nobody mentioned that. Nobody. We're not talking about that.
No, ma'am.
Yes, but guess what though? Guess what? It was me and one of my really good girlfriends. And it was just fun. It was just fun. And I think we both, because we're in this season, well, because we're in new seasons, right? Yes. We're in seasons where now for her, all of her kids are either grown or high school, about to graduate, and for me, slightly further behind.
Understand.
But we don't have babies anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, I think she used to be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
And so I think for both of us, we are now in a season of just like reclaiming us,
Oh, yes.
right? And understanding that it's okay. Like, I'm not taking away from anyone. I'm not taking away from my family. I'm not taking away from my husband. I'm not taking away from family or anything like that. To say, I need to step away.
Yeah.
I need this moment of self-care.
And stepping away and when you come back makes it better.
It absolutely does.
Makes it better. And I like how you worded that or labeled it the season of reclaim. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Because I do think so many of us are so trapped in the I must be all things for all people.
Yes. The big W on our chest, the beautiful, blue or red or purple cape, whatever your favorite color is, wrapped around your neck. And, we have a baby bag here, a purse here, a business bag in our arm, high heel shoes on one foot, sneakers on another. I mean, so we're really walking through that time of not checking in on ourselves with whether it's the self-maintenance, but definitely the self-care, but we're unbalanced.
Right. And, and like you said, it looks different for everyone. Yeah. I love to travel. There's nothing better to me than, traveling. Sitting out by water, sitting out by the beach, sitting out by a pool somewhere. So for me, a huge part of self-care is, let me take a trip, right? And of course, that's not something that happens all the time or that can or should, because it can be on a much smaller scale than that. It could be as simple as taking out time for you and I to sit and Zoom or sit and just sip, right? And just conversate. Yeah. That too is a source of self-care.
It is. And I'm glad that you even mentioned it. And I think for myself, just because of the season that I'm in, so for what my self-care journey at one point in time looked like prior to the kids leaving, was just, don't nobody ask me anything for like 2 hours. Let me just get this Lifetime movie without no interruptions. After that, I'm good. So like now that everyone is gone, or maybe, getting that self-maintenance of a Manny and a Petty whenever I had the time, because, they were involved in things. So trying to find the time on the weekend, you don't want to be there all day, but I don't want to be there too late either. So now, even at this season in my life, for me, my best self-care that I truly love doing, I love a lot of the loungewear, the cute loungewear that they have out. And I'm going to tell you, Nordstrom's Rack has the best. But anyway,
Nordstrom's Rack.
Yes. And, just getting my favorite snacks, getting a book, and, you get up, you take a shower, get yourself ready, put on some new loungewear, get right back in the bed and binge watch Netflix or Hulu or whatever it is that brings me joy and laughter. Why? Because it's just me.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Okay, so considering you're in this new season, right? And I think a lot of times people around us, our family, our friends, even when we're trying to put in these boundaries, and even when we are trying to at least attempt to care for self, there's still the expectation of, well, if I ask you something, or if I need something, if I need you to babysit, or if I need you to come and do something or pick me up, right, then you should do that. So do you ever find that there are times when you're trying to sit around in your lounge wear, and you have to make a decision of do I stay in this self-care moment, or appear selfish, or do I give in to what my family or a friend needs from me right now.
Wow. You know what? At the beginning of that new season, it was very hard for me. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
But now that they're used to it, and I say they, mainly my mother. My sister lives out of town, so I'm here. My mom is, praise God, still able to do for herself, drive, whatever the case may be.
Sweet
But
Miss
guess
Dolores.
what? Miss Dolores. But I still have to be made available sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And, she and I have had conversations about it. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes what's an emergency for you is not an emergency for me. Like, Melissa, can you take me to Louisville? No, not what? That was not on my to-do list. Not today. But then I put ma'am to it, so I'm not being dishonorable, right? But you know what? Finally getting the nerve to say no.
Mm-hmm. But how did you do that though? I think
it took time.
That's been our challenge.
It took time. And so I can honestly say, when I say no, 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 no.
Are you interested in being a sponsor for the Trashed It podcast? If so, reach out to us via email at wetrashedit@gmail.com.
You know what I was thinking? So I was doing some reading and had no clue that the way we really know self-care now really was coined by the Black Panther Party.
Really?
So from what I was reading, of course, self-care had been a term, and it had been a term, that the medical community used to promote patients about caring for themselves, right? But during the 60s, with the Black Panther movement, they, in their, what was it called? Their 10-point program, really coined the way we use it to mean it wasn't just about caring for self, but it was also about self-preservation.
Oh,
right? And not just preserving ourselves physically, but preserving our mental, right? Because people like Angela Davis, who were spending time in jail, right? They incorporated these self-care things to get them through being institutionalized, as well as the larger population of the Black Panther movement when it came to being able to be mentally and emotionally healthy while dealing with racial discrimination and all of the unrest that was happening. So it was looked at as this is not just self-care, but it is really self-preservation.
And I can see that.
Right.
I can see. And you know what? It really, when you think about it now, it makes sense. When you hearing that, because I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mel, like the term self-care, we truly started hearing more about it maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, it's a buzzword now.
It is. Right? Not only is it a buzzword, but to me, people monetize off of it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a huge moneymaker. But that's quite interesting, but it makes sense. Right. And it even makes sense in the situation that we are in. Absolutely. In our world, 19, 20 months ago, the world shut down and all we could do was, be in our brick and mortars.
Right. And so think about
some type of preservation.
Right. So think about self-preservation, not just, of course, you had the Black Panther Party, but then even when you move forward and we look at careers such as my career, right, where you're dealing with emotions all day long, or cops or firefighters, people that are working in industries that are taxing mentally. Self-care became a really big part of it.
Yes.
Because it wasn't just looked at as oh, let's just go get a massage, or
Exactly.
let's go
Get a
on a
petty,
trip.
go, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was, okay, let's figure out how to take care of self so that we can better take care of others.
Wow.
Right? Because think about it. If you had someone like an Angela Davis who's in jail, or my God, even today when we think about people who work in law enforcement,
Oh
can
goodness,
you
yes.
imagine, or your your doctors, your nurses, people in the health industry,
Yes, a lot of the essentials.
yeah, and how taxing that is, and how absolutely necessary
Yes.
it really is to have self-care, not just maintenance, not just get up, brush your teeth, and put on clothes and take a shower, but actual self-care to make sure that when you are caring for others, that you can,
Yes.
right? And that you still have of yourself to give
Yeah.
when it comes to your own family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So,
Wow.
so I think our outlook of it being selfish is, I think we we want to be everything for everyone.
Chaos is comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I think, we care so much about our self-image that we don't ever want anyone to think that we don't care or we don't love them, right? We equal saying yes to self as a, I don't care about you.
That's true.
Right. And that's not the case. Like, I can care about you and care about me. But because I care about you, I understand that I have to take care of me in order to be available for you.
And it just hit me, and I know, I might joke about it with you, but again, because we're friends, we have now a business together, setting those boundaries early, because boundaries is also a part of self-care.
Right.
And so we laugh about the green light, or the emails.
Right.
But you know what? I appreciate it early on, because I'm seeing in this day and age that if you set boundaries early on, like as soon as you notice, not a red flag, but oh, okay, like this could become too much. And you talk about it early, you communicate, you talk about it, it does not give room for discord.
Right. And but like you said, you have to be open to having that dialogue.
Exactly.
Right.
And not even get upset about it. Like, I can joke about it and laugh. I can read something, I'm like, oh, duly noted. But that, you know what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, several years ago, I would have just kept texting back.
Yeah.
It could be midnight, and there was no turn off. There was no limit. There were no boundaries. There was no, okay, I am tuning out now.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I am turning off. If someone texts or someone email, if my phone dinged, I would pick it up.
Yeah.
And even now I have to discipline myself. And there are still days that I have to tell myself, okay, you're not ignoring this person. You have to concentrate on this right now. Right.
But
it's not that I don't
goes back again. And Melanie, you sound like the Matrix.
You sound like the Matrix too. You just stopped. Okay, now I see you. Can you see me?
Now I can.
Now you can? You're still stuck. Okay, you're not
You
were
now frozen for like about.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
About disciplining yourself. You have to discipline
Yeah.
yourself. And I was just going to say again, that is a form of self-care.
It is.
The mental part of it.
Right. So
the emotional part of it.
Yeah. I still have to discipline myself. Am I going out?
No, you're good.
Okay. So, but yeah, I still do, because if people are texting, or even there are even days and times when you'll text me and I want to text right back, right? Because normally you text right back. And for me, it's just respectful, right? It's respectful, it's courteous, but I'm not always in a position that I can do it and give it my undivided attention. So what I now find is, okay, either I say yes now and it's not really convenient, and I put aside my boundaries, or I keep my boundaries, and then when I respond to this person, I can actually give this person the attention they deserve.
Yeah. Exactly. But because we both practice self-boundaries, we both practice self-care. We establish boundaries at the beginning, after the fact, but I'm still in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I do believe that we even know, I don't even know if self-care, I do believe that self-care is a love language. I really do. I'm a firm believer that if you love yourself, you know what loves you and what you love. And if I love myself, then the love and respect I have for myself, I'm gonna reciprocate that to you.
Right.
And respect.
I just lost you. You're stuck. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. You're still stuck.
Now I can hear you. You were stuck.
Oh, you were stuck on my end.
Really? Yeah, you were stuck on my end. Oh my goodness.
But really? Yeah, I think like you were saying, that because we respect each other, and you were saying that when you really love self, it is reflected by how you treat other people. Because the thing I've noticed about you, you'll always say like, I don't want to interrupt your weekend, or I don't want to interrupt your time with your family.
Yeah.
Right. Or I don't want to interrupt your lunchtime. Because
I understand what it is that you do. I understand what's important, and I understand what's important to your family.
Right. But don't you think, though, that that's a part of why we consider self-care selfish? Because on a regular, it would be considered selfish. Because this could very easily be a relationship and a situation in which I don't answer immediately, and you took it the wrong way, or you took it to mean I'm ignoring you, or I'm not as committed, or I've got time to do everything else, but I don't have time to respond to you, right?
And you know what? You were breaking up. And so I hope I'm not cutting in to what you just asked, but I do believe I would have thought it was selfish had we not had the conversation at first.
Really?
I do.
Okay.
Just because, and not from the point of being friends, but being business partners. And I guess because it goes back to the fact of myself, like when I'm all in, I'm all in. And so that's a weakness and a strength.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a romantic relationship with a male, or being in a friendship with a female, like I dive in, but that's who I am.
Right.
But I can honestly say now in the season, Mel, that I'm realizing it's a strength and a weakness. Where at one point in time, I just thought it was a strength and I could pop my collar. No, it's because it can be a weakness.
Right.
Because you can get hurt or you can hurt someone. So, I mean, so it goes both ways. And I always say, like, man, I'm glad we had that conversation about, and again, we laugh about it, about the green light. It just doesn't mean go all the time.
Well, think about it. It goes back to the question you asked in reference to, does self-care look different during different phases?
It does.
Right. So for me, as married, 3 kids, and 2 of which are still in our house, and neither one are in high school, my days look different.
Yes.
Whereas you just willy-nilly free, come do as you please.
Cook if I want to, or I don't.
Yeah. So where I may not have my phone at 7 p.m. because I'm either eating dinner, cooking dinner,
going over homework,
those things, which says I'm not going to be near my phone. I'm not going to be answering the phone. Whereas for you may be at the mall or doing whatever, but in order for us to really know that our self-care and our boundaries are not being selfish, we had to have a conversation.
Absolutely. And it's true. And so I think with this, that we can honestly take away with the beginning, the sentence of, not only is self-care not selfish, self-care looks different for everyone. But with that, you also now have to embrace that journey of what your self-care is, and even embrace, the journey of the other person's self-care. If you're talking about a two-way type self-care journey, if you will. But embracing it.
Right.
As always, we thank our listeners for tuning in. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Trashed It! Podcast. You can listen to our podcast on various podcast platforms. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Trashed It! Podcast. And please chit chat with us throughout the week on our social media channels, Facebook at Trashed It and Instagram at We Trashed It.